Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Hustle Today. Today, I have another special guest for you. So, this lady is, um, she's a homemaker. She used to be an employee and now she's a digital marketing consultant. She helps people with personal branding. Now, all of this while being a homemaker is such a challenge. Only the homemakers can understand. And, this is something that is very inspirational. So, let's just get her on the call and understand and hear her story from her and how she makes 1 lakh rupees a month doing all of this. Being a homemaker, handling family, and then also being a consultant to firms and how to build brands. So it's going to be super interesting conversation. Let's get her on the call. Resume the record. Yes. Hello, Shweta ji. Great to have you on the call since batch 2.
Yeah, you are the same.
Yeah. How do I say? What do I respond to that?
बड़ा स्ट्रेस दिया था आपने बैच 2 में, ये किताबें पढ़ो, ये फिटनेस करो, मतलब मैं सोचती थी कैसे मैं मैनेज करूँ ये सब कुछ.
Now I'll
But it
pass
was very
that to
inspiring,
you.
yeah.
I'll pass that question to you. How do you manage all of this? Your family, being a digital marketing, consultant to firms. How do you manage all of this? Must be so challenging.
कभी-कभी जगल करना पड़ता है. To be honest, I don't have, a large support system in place. So I cook all the meals, I clean, I do everything. So अभी भी लोगों को गरम-गरम फुलके मिल रहे हैं. So I think I'm doing my job good. Uh, but yes, what I can perhaps, look at is looking at what I have to do and what I should be doing. I try to balance the both too. So if I have a call at 11, I kind of figure that out, that how should I go about, fixing the other stuff. My kids are all grown up, so yeah, it's manageable.
The way you say it makes it sound so effortless. I mean,
I've been a homemaker for 24 years. So
I
it
mean,
like experience bol raha hai.
counts, experience counts. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about your story. How did you come to batch 2? Because I had a certain journey. I have spoken about it so many times. How did you come to DDIP? What were you doing before that?
Uh, I came to DDIP with, I was in that zone where I was attending left, right, center webinars, and I ended up attending one of Deepak's webinar, in which he was upselling DDIP. What I liked was I had already, before I joined DDIP, I had already done a couple of programs with Siddharth Rajshekhar. So, digital marketing pe thoda kuch kaam kiya tha maine. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to invest one more penny on webinars. I had promised myself.
I can
And
remember
then came,
there was a point in time I was going through this.
I know, you're so carried away. आपको लगता है this one is going to change your life. And factually, yes, this one did change my life. But the only thing that I very upfront I was in registering myself कि पैसा तो वापस मिल जाएगा. So that thought कि uh, and because I was not a very good student in my college and school days in terms of my grades, but I was very good in terms of my diligence in completing my homework. So I counted on that कि मैं assignment तो पक्का submit कर दूंगी. Top 25 में नहीं तो at least I'll have my money back. So I was like in a very conservative way figuring out, okay, I'm learning without investing any money, and let's see what happens. And that's how I ended up doing that for two reasons. One is I was in figuring out what to do next, because I don't know how much you know about my journey.
No, I mean, I'm ready to know more about it. It's so interesting.
I don't know. So I wanted to come and have this interview for the simple reason there are so many women who are, looking to make a comeback. There are so many women who have never started their career. To be honest, I did my banking and business finance way back in '98.
Okay.
And that time, all commerce students, since we had, very little to do in the college, just a couple of hours of study, so most of us ended up going to aptex and NIITs and stuff like that. So I also did a 2.5 years of relational database management system way back in '98. So C++, Fox Pro पे programs बनाना, Oracle I भी तब introduce हो गया था. But then I got married, and situation would have it, I was married in a quintessential Marwadi home, and uh, situations were such that I never picked up a career. I was following my husband wherever he was going, and technology may, if you get derailed even 6 months, then you've lost that touch. You've lost the opportunities that you would have got. And when I connect the dots, that time also I was more keen on becoming a center manager or a teacher in any of those centers. That was something that I was more keen on rather than implementing or become a coder or anything of that sort. But nonetheless, time passed by and I was in my comfortable in my homemaking zone. My husband had a really nice career graph and he was working with MNCs, and Pesa was never a problem. And in 2014, 15, I was approached by a friend of mine. So, when you have your husband working in an MNC and you've got all the money and bache bade ho gaye, aap mote ho gaye, so you end up going to the gym and doing all that stuff. So
interaction, yeah.
Gym, trekking, etc. So one of my trekking friends, I had actually done Everest Base Camp. So
Okay.
Everest Base Camp,
Wow.
Yeah, I've done quite a few trekking. So Everest Base Camp journey was like, we were people together for 19 days. So we got to know each other closer, etc. So one of my friend approached me post EBC trek that me and my wife run an HR consulting firm and we are looking out for someone who can help us with business development. To be honest, I was like, okay. Since I knew him, I knew he was not kidding. But, it was a shock to me because I was not looking at making a career because I was like, okay, ab to kya? Up to that's out of the window. That thought process was there. And I told him that I'm not qualified in HR, I'm not qualified in sales, and you're asking me to sell HR. That too, we were in like the company was into HR outsourcing for small entrepreneurs. So sitting across the table for a 50 crore turnover, 100 crore turnover entrepreneur and selling them the HR outsourcing pieces. Like I was, what if they have pointed questions and how am I, and the whole career thing, I have never worked.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah. So, but they persuaded me, and what hit me was, if someone is seeing potential in me, someone wants to invest in me, I should at least give myself a chance. And I categorically told them that my house is spoilt with a 24/7 homemaker. So I cannot just step out of the house and have a 9 to 6 job. So you'll have to give me flexi timings and you'll have to bear with me till the time I learn.
Okay.
And they made large promises, but they just threw me in the water. I had to learn everything myself. And it was a small firm. So I did a lot of overlapping, work. Wherein I was doing event management, I was doing social media marketing, I was doing digital marketing also to an extent. I was doing sales calls, obviously. I was doing networking, hosting networking events, going to networking events. I was doing all of it, So this happened for 4 years plus. And somewhere in 2020, we with startups, it does happen that they figure out as they go along that this is working, this is not working, and all of it. So they were also contemplating on remodeling their businesses, and COVID happened. So, it was like just at the same time when they decided that, okay, we would do something different in terms of our offering or maybe restructure or remodel. Now, till the time they were, it was like, a situation which was unclear what is to be happening next. I did not want to pile up my salary to them, and this opportunity just fell in my lap. It was time for me to now contemplate whether I want to go back to the homemaking thing or I want to continue my career. Because definitely, whatever in terms of remuneration, definitely I was not building something big. It's a startup, and my whole idea was to learn to position myself as a professional. And that's when digital internship
I
So
joined.
interesting that you tried so many things and you were not driven by money. You were driven by this identity to build up your brand, and somehow you ended up here. That is so interesting. Before I go any further, if I ask you, suppose if my mother, she's a homemaker, she's into art, she does a lot of it. How would you inspire her to take this seriously and go online and build a personal brand? How would you like to motivate her?
Please schedule a call because there is so much that she can do, because it's a field that people are ready to pay for, and moms are ready to make their kids engage in this. And the problem is, they have got idea, they've got talent, but they don't have the right processes established. They don't pitch themselves to to kind of get what they deserve. Also, they underplay themselves.
No, I
And
mean, I understand that thing, the problems, but how would you motivate them? Like, why should they take it seriously? If you had to say anything to her in one line or two, how would you like to motivate her? Because there might be a lot more women who would be like, watching this video, they're thinking about it, but they're not sure. Okay, I should, learn digital marketing and I should take my personal brand, I should build it up. How would you like to motivate them? What motivates you?
what motivates me is the ability that I have now been able to own my story. I've been very unapologetic about positioning myself. So when my first sales call happened, Divya, I was, when anybody asked me, "Acha, aap kya karte ho? What are you doing?" I was so apologetic with the fact that I was a homemaker. I've just started working and all that. I mean, homemaking is something that one should be proud of.
Hmm, very,
Homemaking is something which has immense experience, which is not quantified.
very true.
And now when I implement and I coach CEOs and CXOs with whom I was like really highly intimidated. कि भाई ये तो, these guys are Bhagwan, they know all it all and I know nothing. So to come out of those shadows of, you undermining your potential is something that I want every homemaker or every woman for that matter to do. Trust me, I've coached senior leadership role women and they are still in those shadows, and it
Wow.
kind of hurts me somewhere. And
Hmm.
that's where I want to connect with these, or maybe communicate through this interview also. If you are any homemaker, please don't undermine your potential. And it's not something, Divya, that the financial gain or building your business. Yes, I think what happens majorly is your evolution
Very
as
true.
a person. The same things that you were experiencing as a homemaker, the whole dynamics change.
Hmm.
This the way you look at things now and the way you were looking at things then
100%.
has a
There is an
considerable change.
evolution.
Yes, yes.
100%. I agree to it. I mean, even at, in different, at different levels, it happens. I mean, in the case of homemaking and, getting to it, very true. Okay. So, when you came to DDIP, how did it help you? Anything you remember particularly that actually helped you majorly?
So so my whole evolution, or whatever what word that I my whole decision of me launching myself as a LinkedIn coach happened with one of the assignments where we had to build a digital product.
Hmm.
So I had created an ebook
Okay. The
and
final one, the final
yeah,
assignment. Yeah.
yeah. So and to be honest, I was writing a book about my story,
Okay.
and somehow I was not getting that mahal, and I was like, the deadline was coming closer, and I had still not finished that book. And then all my mentors, friends told me that don't do this haphazardly, invest your time on it. And then, like, just 3 days prior to the submission, what to do now, ki ab kya product banao. All that I knew, because I was in a B2B business. I was on LinkedIn for most of my time, and I was pretty familiar with LinkedIn. I had done a couple of courses also on LinkedIn, so I could talk about it and it was like, some things have to happen, so it just, apple gira jaisa ho gaya tha. So
Mm.
I was like, okay, now I have to uh, so I wrote that ebook and I published it. And to be honest, I published it just for the assignment purpose. But I've got right now, I guess, 200 plus people who bought that ebook.
Wow.
So that was fundamentally so when I wrote and when I read myself that book,
Mhm.
and I realized that yes, and when I shared with people and they gave me the feedback, etc. One of my mentors told me that you have got a powerful story to share, that if a homemaker in 4 years where her LinkedIn uh, account was not even existing, I created my account in 2016. So in 4 years, if people are tagging you as an influencer, if you have created that space for yourself, this
It
is something
matters.
that people will relate.
Very true. Yeah.
So that's how DDIP was a change.
Very true. I can relate to it in a lot of ways. How it shifted me too. So since then, what have you been doing since DDIP? I think it's been more than 1.5 years. What have you
Yeah.
been doing?
So to be honest, when I finished DDIP, and now when I look back, I think I was not ready for that.
Okay.
At times you take up a course where you think you're not ready, but later you realize you are not. So it's like you come out of that course and you're implementing and seeing results. That's not happening because
Mhm.
you're not ready.
Mhm.
But any learning does not go waste, is what I
Mhm.
have learned. So
Very true.
I have invested heavily on upskilling myself. Trust me, my husband is going to kill me, but
No, it's
I
great.
have
I relate to
invested.
it. I mean, it's a ongoing process, lifelong thing.
Yeah, and I think I will never,
Stop it.
so I used to question myself, am I a seminar junkie or a webinar junkie? But no, I wasn't. So what happened with DDIP, it started subconsciously shaping my thought process.
Hmm.
While I was learning and upskilling myself on the skills, I was also observing Deepak as a coach. I was also observing our peer-to-peer, learning that was happening on the WhatsApp groups, and Kamna teaching us and all of that. So there was a lot of subconscious thing which was going on, which you don't realize then. But yes,
Mhm.
it does happen for the simple reason that my website getting created. Now I am working on restructuring that website, but it was a blog site at that point in time.
Mhm.
But it was a big thing for me
It
when I
is.
wrote
It
my
certainly
first.
is.
Yeah, so when I wrote my, so you cross the bridge.
Yes.
You cross the bridge. You have, so my first blog where I shared my journey, till the time you see that in pen and paper right in front of you, you don't realize how much you have walked, till now. You just keep undermining कि अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं हासिल किया है, but ऐसा नहीं है.
Very true.
So DDIP helped in many ways, to be honest, and the whole joy of getting your money back. I'm like, to be honest, I'm truly contemplating on putting something like this for my coaching as well. Some
You should.
internship, LinkedIn
You should.
internship.
You should.
Yeah, थोड़ा rough किया हुआ है मैंने.
You will, I'm sure. I mean, the kind of a person you are
It
by now
was
that I
it was
see.
a pioneering idea.
Very
Divya,
true.
till that time nobody had thought about it. I don't think अभी भी किसी ने किया है इसको implement.
A few people have tried a bit, but then, they just don't get it. How did he does?
Yeah, so and uh, I have complete faith in the structure of the program.
Hmm.
And I have recommended that program to so many people. All my coaches which I found, and I have never advised anyone that Jaki iska bhi karo, uska bhi karo, uska bhi karo. I know okay, Deepak's DDIP will benefit for him
Mhm.
or her, then I would have recommended that. And that understanding you will get once you have done enough learning.
Okay.
Otherwise,
You said about your journey, how you DDIP helped you. Now, let me ask you, what are you doing currently? How do you help companies? About your work, tell me something about it. And sorry, as a homemaker, you're able to make 1 lakh on the side when you didn't have an intention of making money too much. You're not driven by it, but you still make that. So cool, so interesting. So tell me more about it.
1 lakh is up my, my thought process is very different now. 1 lakh is is nuts.
Nuts. I know, which is why I said, right, you are not driven by it. You just make it. It's so
So
easy. And a lot
2022
more
is
people
going
would
to
want to
be.
be in
So
your shoes. They're
I
like,
want
okay, 1 lakh
myself to
rupees
be
is nuts.
re-interviewed by Divya, 2022, where I can, pronounce a really, really big number.
I'm so happy that I got an opportunity to interact and interview my colleague from batch 2. And now that I know that you have been to Everest Base Camp and, consultant to HR firms, so many interesting things, and LinkedIn. I'm yet to get around to LinkedIn. So I'll approach you because LinkedIn is something that I have not taken seriously. I'm like, I'll do it. Whenever I open LinkedIn, I'm like, what is it? I'm just confused all over the place. So tell me more about it. Like, what do you do currently?
So I basically consult people how they can leverage LinkedIn to build their personal brand. And when they're doing that, generating leads or getting a new offer is going to come as a byproduct. Now, the problem is when it comes to LinkedIn, people treat it as a stopgap arrangement, okay, go on LinkedIn, search for leads, and once you get a couple of leads and then you're silent. It's
Mm.
something like, you would relate, and I quote that in all my master classes, is I relate that with fitness. So if you have an agenda of losing 5 kgs, after 5 kgs you're going nowhere.
Exactly.
Okay, but if you have an agenda of remaining fit, that that cannot be quantified, and it's an ever evolution wala process. So that's where I try to, address in terms of, or try to build that mindset for my clients. I don't do ghostwriting. I don't do because it's kind of misaligned with my values as of now, because I think that if you're not involved in personal branding and you have outsourced it completely to someone else,
It loses your voice.
yeah, I do advocate that, you go through this journey, and if you have bandwidth issues and you want to outsource, you at least know what your style is, how your TG is responding to you, and that's where you know what to get done from the outsourced agencies.
Mm.
But yes, invest in the consulting time that I am with you and do it yourself. Till the time you do it yourself, you will not understand what you need to get it done from others without affecting your personal brand voice, if I may say so. And I take master classes. One to many is that model, and one-on-one consulting also.
Wonderful. If you had to advise on the first step to get started I mean, you are a huge inspiration. I mean, I must tell this to you once again. You're a huge inspiration. Now that I know your story much better after batch 2, we had short interactions before, but this is at length the longest interaction we had. And now that I know about your journey, I realize that you are such an inspiration. So if you have to give top 3 pieces of suggestion or advice to somebody, a woman specifically, okay, because they need it. I can see it. We men, we can also take inspiration, young boys, but young girls and women of your age, what are the top 3 advices you would give when it comes to digital marketing, them getting online and finding, what they can do with this?
Okay, first piece of advice is invest in building your personal brand, authentic personal brand. Don't invest in becoming famous.
That is such a valid point. Such a strong point.
Yeah. Now, with that first piece of advice in mind, the second is a follow-up advice, which is to build an authentic personal brand, you need to have crystal clarity
Hmm.
in terms of whom are you talking to and why they should listen to you. These are the two fundamental questions. Rest all will follow, the depth of clarity in terms of, and especially young girls I see, and I will give that to them, that you don't really have clarity per se. In terms of, there are a lot of exploration which happens, there's a lot of growth that happens, and when you started you were something else, and when you landed you were something else, and it is a ever changing journey. But yes, when you're beginning also, you should have clarity in terms of whom are you talking to and why they should listen to you.
This is a
Some
very,
message
very
you should
strong
have.
piece of advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in complicating things, all that big jargons, etc. I don't relate with it. But this is a fundamental question. So if I have to answer this question, I am talking to women, and why they should listen to me, I have a strong story. And trust me, in this 1 year of consulting, close to, yes, 1 year of consulting, I'm still struggling to own my story totally. I know when I'm there, internally I'll know that, okay, I've owned it up 100%. And I know for sure that once that happens, my audience will also see that. Audience बेवकूफ नहीं है.
Very true.
You cannot fool around with your audience and
Very true.
make
They
it
can
take
sense that lack of clarity. They can
fake
sense
it till you make it. Sorry, I don't believe in that. Sorry, but I do believe in projection. If you are not projecting it correctly, it will not be perceived the way you want it to be perceived. So projection is important. It is very important. So when I consult, I always talk to people that, clarity is the first, projection is the second, and sustenance is the third. So these are the, basic three pillars where you should, focus on when it comes to building your personal brand. And trust me, building your personal brand, I talk it million times for the simple reason, it is self-help. If you actually do it in the process of helping others, the help that you are getting to yourself is incredible.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so true, because when you become a personal brand and people start trusting you and a lot of things happen, you start to take things more seriously. You become more responsible.
Yeah, exactly. You feel so responsible. And to be honest, like if I have to pen down something that you should be doing this, you should be doing this, it bangs on my head. Am I doing this? So how the hell I can preach, till the time I'm not practicing it. And so definitely I'm not there 100%, I will admit, but I'm trying. And that's something that I love about this whole journey, that it has made me a different person.
There is a strong resonance with what DD says and what you say, because DD himself is a personal brand, how he built up from scratch, and he teaches people and he stresses upon it. And that now you coming up and saying that from your own experience only adds to the whole concept of personal brand, that why you need to find your voice, you need to have clarity. I mean, even young boys or young men, they need to understand that it's not about being famous. It's about being known for the thing that you want them to know, which only comes with clarity. So
trust is
wonderful.
The focal point here, and building trust is not easy. And I get approached by people, so I'm mentioning it here, that it's often confused with PR.
Very true.
So and PR is often confused with becoming famous. So it's all a jugglery in the minds of people when they come and talk to me about personal brand. And also one thing I would want to address, since it's about digital marketing, when it comes to building your personal brand, please guys, don't spread yourself too thin in talking on all social media platforms. Stick
Very
to
valid.
one, create a depth, and then think about widening your audience.
Very valid one. At one point when I didn't join DDIP, and before that, when I was buying courses, I used to think, okay, this platform, I had a list of 16 platforms. I was like, no, this is not going to work. This is not happening for the past 1 year. I'm not going to do it. And then somehow I watched DD's, I got an email. I think we got an email, right? Okay, we are on batch 2. I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. I pay the money, I get it back, I complete the assignments. At least I get to learn what I have been trying to learn for past 3 years. And then I ended up doing it, changed my life. And now that, I have been able to mentor so many students, I see the power of the whole mindset and the power of personal brand. So, and you, I mean, what do I say, Shweta ji? I never knew I am going to be so inspired after talking to you because I didn't know your story so much.
I have been so inspired for so long by you. I was like, okay, so trust me, when I drafted my first professional email, I was, translating from my head in Hindi to English using Google Translate and figuring out, okay, what is the best way to do, and all my commerce communication lectures I was recollecting. That was my stage when I began day one of my work.
Wow.
And LinkedIn pe bhi, when I'm writing posts, etc., I have never been an avid reader. Both my kids trust me. They are avid readers. Avid, matlab the books that are there, उसमें से आधी पढ़ रखी होंगी उन्होंने. So, which I'm very proud of, but I have never gotten, into I can read blogs, I can read all of the books, and I joined your Facebook group also, and I've not
Okay.
done anything.
Okay.
But वो नहीं कभी appeal किया मुझे. So I have now decided that what works for me is listening to books. So मेरा एक lunch में 2-3 chapter पूरे हो जाते हैं. So
Wow.
that is something that I have now figured as a way out of using books as my learning mechanism. But glad to have this interview. I
Amazing.
hope any education, any learning with a good coach never go wasted. So even
Absolutely.
if so I trust me, if you ask me right now कि अपनी website पे Facebook pixel कैसे डालना है, I will have to look back at the video, see and implement it. Sorry, but this is where I stand, because I did
Okay.
it for assignment, but I know the fundamentals now.
Yes.
How
The
does
concept, the clarity. Yes.
Yes. And I know I can go back to the books and do it myself at some point in time. Yeah.
So a short analogy for this that I have is, suppose you have to do a plus b square. If you don't know the formula, if I give you x plus y square, you won't be able to do it. But if you know the formula, even if I give you h plus g square, you know where to get h square plus g square plus 2hg.
You said it.
So
You said
it's the formula that you need, the concepts, and then the tools, the techniques, and all these variables can change. Wonderful. Thank you, Shweta ji.
And with tools, etc., Divya, like, I learned 2 tools and I've got a laundry list of 10 coming up. So when I decided, okay, I have to now branch out to different social media platform, using Instagram was a big headache for me. I decided कि ऐसे ऐसे उंगली करनी है, उसमें ऐसे ऐसे. All those basics, I like, for some people it comes. So when I used to ask my kid इसको कैसे करते हैं, so they were like, ये भी नहीं आता आपको. You've invested so much on learning and you don't even know this. And I said, मैं Instagram की workshop कर लूँ. They said, Instagram में workshop क्यों करनी होती है? It's there, you can learn. I'm like, okay, but I learned.
So ultimately, the tools revolve around the very equations. And since you have that equation clarity, then you will be able to adopt to anything.
I don't know. I'm still figuring out for YouTube.
I mean, it's okay. I go through that same thing. It's normal, the tools thing. But what you have done is just amazing. Let me reiterate this once again. Amazing work. And I wish you all the best. And I hope I get to interview you once again sometime in the future with a bigger
So I'm
success
part
story.
of this Graphy Select's first cohort, as
Okay.
I was selected from 10,000 applicants to top
Wow.
50. I don't know
Amazing.
how I got into it. And so that's going to be a game changer in terms of, the mentoring that I'm getting from the top creators of.
I'm sure you would do wonders. And my best wishes to you. More success, and hoping to have another interaction with you very soon.
Done. Thank you so much. Looking
Thank you
forward.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.